The California Energy Commission just voted to enact tire rules that could legally erase 70% of the replacement tires currently sitting on store shelves by 2033. I am Lambert Woollingham, and this is the Daily Shear for Saturday, August 22nd, 2026. Nobody involved in today's news seemed particularly interested in explaining the math out loud. So that will be my job instead. Let us start close to home in the part of Texas where the ground itself is becoming a subject of civic debate. The Leander City Council voted Thursday night to strip a proposed 4-acre Crystal Lagoon out of the 78-acre Leander Springs development, though the rest of the billion-dollar project survives intact. The plan still includes a 275-room hotel, a 20,000-square-foot conference center, and over 1 million square feet of commercial space at Highway 183A and RM 2243. Developers had intended to fill and maintain the lagoon by pumping groundwater from the Lower Trinity Aquifer through an 800-foot well. Nearby residents on private wells objected after several of their own wells collapsed, and the council responded by denying the water feature permit while leaving the commercial footprint open for revision. The lagoon, in other words, was the only part of the plan anyone could actually prove was unsustainable. ERCOT announced it will complete a full audit of 250 to 300 proposed Texas data centers by the end of this year, following Governor Abbott's directive freezing new grid connections until developers document their resource use, safeguards, and ownership. If every project in the queue were approved, the combined demand would run around 200 gigawatts, more than double the state's record peak of 91 gigawatts set back in July. Regulators at the Public Utility Commission will also survey mid-sized facilities, those requesting between 25 and 75 gigawatts for water consumption and local tax abatements. The grid, it seems, would like to know what it is agreeing to before it agrees to it. Governor Abbott has referred existing Islamic ritual washing stations at Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston's Bush intercontinental airports to the Justice Department, arguing in letters sent Friday that the facilities violate federal anti-discrimination law. DFW officials say the rooms are open to travelers of all faiths and were installed specifically to stop people from washing their feet in the regular bathroom sinks, which had become a slip-and-fall problem. Houston Mayor John Whitmire rejected the allegation outright, noting that the Bush intercontinental prayer rooms were paid for through international airline landing fees, not a dime of city or state tax money. The Justice Department has not yet said whether it plans to open an investigation. The Texas Department of Transportation has reopened the FM 481 bridge over the Nueces River in Uvalde County weeks ahead of schedule after July floodwaters tore away the roadway approach and cut the span off from the highway entirely. Crews rebuilt the missing approach and reinforced the surrounding riverbanks for $3 million, finishing the job in 37 days against a late September target. Drivers can cross starting Sunday morning, though shoulder crews will keep working alongside live traffic for a while yet. It is, by state infrastructure standards, borderline suspiciously fast, from bridges to balance sheets where the numbers got considerably less forgiving overnight. Trade talks between Washington and Ottawa collapsed late Friday, and 50% tariffs on $20 billion of Canadian goods took effect at midnight, hitting wine, industrial machinery, cement, lumber, and manufactured consumer products. That covers roughly 5% of everything Canada exports to the United States annually. Prime Minister Mark Carney suspended negotiations, pulled his team, and announced Ottawa will match the new American duties dollar for dollar. United States Trade Representative Jameson Greer blamed Canadian officials for walking away from a tentative deal on steel, aluminum, and automotive terms reached only days earlier. Both sides described the other as the one who left the table. TikTok and parent company ByteDance agreed to pay $400 million to settle a 2024 federal lawsuit alleging the platform harvested data from children under 13 without parental consent and ignored requests to delete their accounts. $300 million of that is an immediate civil penalty, with the remaining $100 million tied to vacating an older consent decree involving the app's predecessor, Musical.ly. The Justice Department called it one of the largest child privacy penalties in federal history. TikTok, notably, admitted no wrongdoing as part of the deal. Apple cut more than 200 jobs on Friday across its Siri and Vision Pro engineering teams, disbanding a dedicated Vision Pro gaming unit and trimming the staff that produces immersive video content for the $3,499 headset. The cuts also hit Apple's Intelligent Systems Experience Group as the company reshuffles its research pipeline toward building artificial intelligence directly into its hardware. Apple confirmed the changes to reporters and said affected employees can apply for newly created engineering roles elsewhere in the company. The headset for now remains for sale. The California Energy Commission voted unanimously to impose new rolling resistance standards on replacement tires sold in the state, arguing the lower friction tires will save drivers several $100s in fuel costs over a vehicle's life. Goodyear and other manufacturers opposed the rule, warning it could knock roughly 70% of currently available tire models off shelves by 2033. Industry groups say meeting the standard will require California-specific production lines, which tends to mean California-specific prices. The Commission's math and the industry's math, unsurprisingly, do not match. The Trump administration issued a 90-day tariff waiver allowing up to 300,000 metric tons of foreign ground beef into the country, an attempt to cool retail prices that have climbed near $7 a pound. Officials say the imported beef will go to commercial processors at a 25% discount to bring supermarket prices down. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association objects, arguing subsidized imports undercut domestic ranchers trying to rebuild herds from 75-year lows. Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley raised similar concerns, pointing to recent meatpacking plant closures in Illinois and Utah tied to the ongoing cattle shortage. Now to the stories that resist easy categorization, which today is most of them. Chief Justice John Roberts signed an emergency order Friday allowing construction to continue on President Trump's $400 million White House ballroom, pausing lower court rulings that had halted the project after the East Wing was demolished without congressional authorization. This one has been through the courts before, and it is not over yet. The stay holds only while the full Supreme Court reviews the administration's petition to dismiss the preservation lawsuits outright. White House attorneys argue the president has authority over federal property and cite national security justifications. The National Trust for Historic Preservation counters that the executive branch cannot simply replace a historic landmark using private donations without anyone else's say-so. Construction resumes in the meantime. Federal agents arrested 35-year-old Jessica Bowie in Albany, charging her with attempting to provide material support to ISIS after an alleged plot to bomb the New York State Capitol during a legislative session. According to a 21-page complaint, Bowie surveilled the Capitol building 5 times, bought nails and batteries to use as shrapnel, and took possession of what she believed were live explosives and a handgun from undercover FBI agents. She pledged allegiance to ISIS earlier this year, prosecutors say. A federal magistrate ordered her held without bail pending indictment. The United States Postal Service finalized a rule requiring state election boards to hand over voter registration data as a condition of delivering mail-in ballots, implementing a March executive order on mail voting. The agency's own filing acknowledges that federal judges in Massachusetts and California have already issued injunctions blocking the policy before the midterms. Postal officials say they are finishing the paperwork anyway, so the rule can take effect immediately if the Supreme Court vacates those injunctions. It is a regulation currently illegal to enforce, filed and ready regardless. A Texas appeals court cut the $50 million defamation judgment against Alex Jones down to about $6 million, citing the state's statutory caps on punitive damages. The compensatory portion, $4.1 million awarded to Sandy Hook parents for emotional distress, survives untouched. The more than $45 million in punitive damages did not, reduced to $1.5 million under the state's cap of $750,000 per plaintiff. Jones's company, Free Speech Systems, remains in bankruptcy liquidation, and he says he will appeal the remainder to the Texas Supreme Court. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt confirmed she will join the Trump-aligned super PAC MAGA Inc. as a senior advisor once her White House duties end this month. She announced her resignation earlier in August, citing the difficulty of the job alongside raising 2 young children. At 28, Leavitt was the youngest press secretary in the position's history, and she previously worked as the PAC's national spokesperson during the 2024 campaign. She says she will help with midterm messaging and attend the party's convention in September. A federal judge in Manhattan struck down the State Department's freeze on immigrant visa processing for applicants from 75 countries, ruling the blanket policy violated the Immigration and Nationality Act's ban on nationality-based discrimination. The freeze had blocked permanent visas for applicants from Brazil, Egypt, Colombia, Haiti, Somalia, and dozens of other nations, justified as a way to prevent future public assistance claims. Judge Jeanette Vargas ordered consular officials to resume evaluating applications individually based on finances, employment, and family sponsorship rather than country of origin. The 75-country list is, as of Friday, no longer operative. I keep coming back to the ablution stations, mostly because I have hooves and a professional interest in wet floors. The stated problem was travelers washing their feet in airport sinks, which is apparently a slip hazard significant enough to warrant dedicated rooms. And now those rooms are the thing under federal investigation. Follow that logic far enough, and the endpoint is not fewer wet floors, it is more of them. DFW quietly removes the rooms, foot washing returns to the sinks, and somewhere down the line, a federal auditor is measuring puddle depth in a Terminal D bathroom with a ruler and a clipboard, filing it under religious liberty. I wash my fleece exactly twice a year, and even I can see the hydraulics do not improve. The mail ballot rule, sitting in the Federal Register, fully drafted and currently illegal to use, is a fairly precise description of how much confidence the Postal Service has in the injunctions holding. I have said everything I am contractually and temperamentally obligated to say about tyre friction for one morning. Lambert Woollingham, rolling on. The day has been shorn. Until tomorrow.